What is up, guys? Welcome back to Overspray. In today's video, we're cleaning out some spray guns with Clean Strip Naked Gun Paint Remover.
If you guys followed my previous video, you guys know that I got quite a few different spray guns, and well, they're in need of some cleaning, let's just say that. And so we're gonna go ahead and try out this Clean Strip Naked Gun Spray Gun Paint Remover. This is specifically to clean your spray gun. We also gonna have a little mix ratio so we can put our little components in here, and then some tools obviously to take apart the spray gun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and tear into the spray gun. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start off with the disassembly of the FLG5. Now I gotta say, these spray guns were in pretty rough shape. Now I'm only showing one, which is the FLG5, because this is the spray gun that I really want to put to the test right away. And so this is why I'm going to start with the FLG5. Now I've had some trouble in the past with cleaning some of the spray guns, especially when you leave paint in the gun. It can be very, very difficult to remove some of that paint. Now, most of you guys will probably suggest some sort of paint stripper, but in my case, California sucks for paint stripping. There's just really no good, how can I say it? No good chemical stripper that is California legal, at least, that I have here. So basically the gun cleaner that I'm using in this video, or that I'm going to be using in this video, is one that I found on Amazon, and I saw good reviews on it, so I thought I'd give it a try. Now, as you guys see on the spray gun, the needle would not come out. I literally had to try to get some pliers to try to pull that needle out, and it just would not release out of the gun. So you can tell how stuck that needle actually is. And I'll give you guys a once over of the gun to see how dirty it actually is, so you guys can take a look for yourselves. Now, I typically don't use electric or cordless impacts to take out the tip, but I gotta tell you, I tried earlier before starting to record, and I could not remove the tip out of the gun, so I had to end up using what I had. So I'm a mechanic, so I do have quite a bit of different tools that I can use to disassemble the gun. So here I'm still trying to remove that needle, like I said, but I'm also trying to be very, very careful to not bend the needle, because if I can't get a replacement, or if the replacement is expensive, then you don't want to obviously bend that needle if it's very expensive, or it's very expensive part. So I kind of give up after this, and I start to disassemble the remaining portion of the gun itself. So we're gonna go ahead and switch it up here, and I try to take off most of the fittings as I can, because I do want to try to clean this gun up as thoroughly as possible. And I'll tell you what, some of these fittings were almost impossible to remove. It just really took a lot of effort to try to disassemble the gun. I mean, usually with other guns that I have, yeah, you will struggle a little bit, but as for the most part, there's not really that dried up paint or primer, and from what it seems like, this gun was actually probably used for primer or sealer, just because of what I see inside of the gun. Lets me know that it more than likely was a primer gun or some sort of sealer gun. But you can take a look at the fittings in there. You can still see that there's a lot of residual dried up paint, and as I take it apart, you kind of see the dust kind of come out of the spray gun. So this gun was in pretty bad shape. It probably has sat for a while with this paint in it, because I did see some parts had, I guess you could call it corrosion. So I'm not sure if maybe waterborne paint was in it, and therefore, because there's water in it, it started to corrode. I'll show you a little bit a little bit more on the footage a little later. So I am going to be using my 3M VersaFlow respirator on this one. The reason why I'm going with my respirator is because this stuff is very strong as far as odor goes, and it's also very skin irritant. And I also wanted to protect my eyes and basically any mucus area, which is going to be your nose, your mouth, eyes, any of that sort of area. Now I'm also going to be using latex gloves. These are diamond grip gloves. They use the same ones at work, but you know, you want to stay well protected. So this is the Naked Gun cleaner that I'm going to be using. I'm pretty sure you guys seen it in previous videos. Now take a look at the tip. You can see the corrosion that I'm talking about on that tip, and also on the cap itself. Now the cap wasn't too bad, to be honest with you. It wasn't that bad, but it did need a good scrubbing in order to get some of that residual out. Take a look at some of the fittings here, and of course the springs and stuff. So I do have a rebuild kit for the FLG on the way, so I'm still waiting on that. But take a look in the front nozzle of the, or the front snout of the spray gun. You can see that there's still some residual paint still left in there, and also that plastic fitting, or plastic air valve that you saw in the front there. I will pull that out because obviously you don't want to put too much chemical stripper on those plastic parts, because some of these paint removers and strippers and stuff like that can actually start to eat away at the plastic. Now most of these spray guns actually have nylon, but you could also find Delrin plastic, nylon plastic. Most of the times you won't see a lot of nylon with glass reinforcement, mainly just regular nylon with no glass fibers inside. And those are the more common plastics that you'll find inside. So what I'm doing here is going ahead and painting, or I'm sorry, not painting, going ahead and spraying down some of these parts, and letting that thing just soak up inside that cup. So I'm going to end up just filling up most of that cup, probably about a quarter of the way, just so that it would really just soak up and kind of loosen up any residual paint that is basically on all the parts, right? Now I will say this, that with this stuff you will probably notice that it is very, very skin irritant. So the gloves that I was using is probably not adequate PPE, I would say. I'd probably use something like the dish washing gloves. That's something that goes kind of up your forearm. But this is all I had at the moment, so I went ahead and just used this. But I did notice that this stuff will eat through some of the glove, especially if you're putting your hand inside that mixing cup with that liquid inside. It'll definitely start to eat away at those gloves, and as you'll see later on, I switch out my gloves quite often. So as I left those things soaking in there, I went ahead and started the rest of the disassembly of this spray gun. So I actually shot off this little C-clip. I didn't record it, but as I was trying to remove it, it came off of this little pin here, and it just shot out. And luckily, by the grace of God, I was able to find it, because usually I don't find too many replacements for that, or at least I didn't have one on hand at the time. So removing the trigger is very easy. Take out that little circlip, pull out the pin, and the trigger comes out. Now I also went ahead and loosened the packing nut, and like I said, I'm still struggling to get this needle out. I really had a hard time trying to get this thing out, and I'm trying to use the parts of the gun to try to work it out like a sliding hammer, but it just was not coming out. It was totally fighting me the whole way, and man, I really had a hard time cleaning out this gun. All right, so this is the portion where I had a lot of trouble trying to pull out that needle, and I wanted to say it's because of this little packing nut right here and the seal. I felt like maybe the seal had probably shrunk or something, or worn down to the point where the needle was just stuck. But I just, for the life of me, I could not pull that needle out of that packing seal or packing nut. For whatever reason, it was just so tight in there. And I want to say that maybe the needle had probably a small groove to the point where it kind of just locked it in place, because I could not pull it out. So I tried to once again try to use the pliers as best as I could, and also try to remove the packing nut and also the seal. So you see me trying to remove that front seal to see if it would loosen it up, and it did pull out some, but it was still just stuck inside the packing nut. So what I'll end up doing is trying to remove the needle once again later on. But I swear, I probably should have just put this in a vise and use a sliding hammer, because honestly, it was just that tight. It was extremely tight. So as you guys can see from a different angle here, you can see that that needle is just stuck in that packing nut for some reason. And I just had a whole lot of fun trying to take this out. I say fun because I can't say other words or else I'll get demonetized, but you guys know you guys know what I mean. So anyways, so this is the most troubling part, so let's go ahead and skip ahead. Alrighty, and finally we were able to remove that needle after some fighting, and I gotta say, this damn packing nut kicked my butt. So I'm also going to go ahead and look and see if the needle is damaged. So what I do is make sure I didn't bend it. I'll put it on a flat surface and kind of just roll it and make sure that the needle is still straight. This is just a quick little check to make sure that that needle is nice and straight, and I didn't actually bend it when I tried to pull it out. So I went ahead and threw all the rest of the parts in the wash, and while it's doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and take off some of the remaining fittings. Now I don't take out every single fitting. The only one I didn't really take out was the air valve on the bottom of the gun. I just felt like there was really no need for it, but I do clean it up externally. But I just didn't find a reason to really take off that air valve at all. So I just went ahead and just left it there. It was just fighting me, and at this point, there was so much work that went into just trying to take this gun apart that I just said, you know what, screw it. Let's just go ahead and grab the impacts. And yeah, although the camera did move, I was able to get most of it situated. Now I know what I look like, and probably most of you guys are probably saying, wow, you need this whole respirator just to clean a gun? Honestly, this stuff was very, very skin irritant and a lung irritant, so I didn't want any of that stuff getting even close to me. And anytime that I paint or use some sort of chemical, whether it be body filler or even spray can paint, any type of any chemical that I know shouldn't be in my body, I try to stay as protected as possible. So I try to take every measure possible. Even though I'm spraying in a garage and this is DIY, my health should come first, and I think you guys also should, practice this as well. Even though you're in a DIY setting, yeah, it might not be the most ideal environment for painting and doing all these things. You want to make sure that you're staying well protected. So I'm in this section right here where I'm grabbing the brush. I'm actually using a nylon plastic brush. So I'm going to go ahead and start spraying down this gun and try to get it all cleaned out. Now you do see that little plastic air valve in the gun. I do end up removing that later on in the video, but as of right now, I haven't pulled it out quite yet. Right now, I'm just kind of still focusing on just getting it all kind of just cleaned out real quick, and still testing to see how well it cleans the gun body as well. Now, I did notice, however, going back to the little brush that I was using, that nylon brush didn't do anything. It was basically just massaging the paint. It wasn't actually removing anything. So later on in the video, you'll see me using a stainless steel brush. That was the only thing that was accessible to me, and I wouldn't probably recommend using a stainless steel brush, only because I think it was just a little bit too aggressive and it ended up scratching the gun body. Now, of course, this is a secondhand gun to me, and that doesn't mean I'm trying to destroy it, obviously. I'm actually trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to kind of restore it. But, you know, if I was to choose a different brush, I would definitely not use a stainless steel brush. And that was the whole point of me trying to use the plastic brush, was trying to avoid damaging the spray gun any more than probably what this dried up paint already has done. So now I also looked at rebuild kits for the FLG5. I've been looking on eBay and a couple different spray gun retailers or distributors, whatever you want to call them. So I actually do have a couple of kits in mind, so I do have to place an order still on the rebuild kit, but not to worry. I know I'll get this thing rebuilt. Now, my main concern was this gun even worth rebuilding? Because sometimes those kits can be rather expensive, and being that this is a Devilbiss gun, it's a professional gun, you would expect the parts to be quite expensive. So I definitely have to do some shopping around to make sure I get the best price, just to make it worth rebuilding this gun, because this gun right now retails for somewhere around $200. And if the rebuild kit costs too much, then it would just not be worth, you know, restoring and rebuilding. It would almost just be cheaper just to get a replacement. So this is what I was trying to avoid, is just trying to make sure that the gun was worth rebuilding. So at this point, I started to get quite tired and frustrated with this gun. So I went ahead and chopped off one of my paint cleaning brushes, and then went ahead and put it on a drill and started to just, well, basically have at it. Drilled right into the gun, per se. And actually, it didn't do too bad of a job as far as putting the drill on it, but I just think that the brushes weren't aggressive enough. Of course, they're still nylon brushes, so they are plastic, so they're not really super aggressive. So it did take some time for me to really try to clean out this gun, like I said. And I just got so frustrated cleaning out this old paint. I mean, this thing probably sat like this for probably at least a year. Either that, or that the gun was just not really cleaned out after each use, and probably just the last time that they used it, they probably just left it like as it was. Now, I'm not complaining, of course. Like, I'm grateful that I got, you know, somebody to basically donate something to my channel. It's a rare circumstance for me that I actually have someone actually give me something. Most of the things that I have on my channel are basically I sponsor myself. I pay for every little bit of it. So with that, I'm actually very grateful that this was actually sent out to me. So yeah, this little brush on the drill actually ended up working pretty well. So we're gonna go ahead and skip ahead, and because obviously cleaning a gun is probably not the most entertaining video in the world. So let's go ahead and skip right ahead.
Guys, so after a few hours of scrubbing, spraying, I gotta be honest, my hand's starting to hurt and my back hurts just cleaning this damn gun. But let me show you the results. Here are the results for cleaning the spray gun with the Naked Gun spray gun paint remover. We'll talk about this in a second, but let me show you the parts. As you guys can see, the gun is cleaned up as best as I could, to be honest. It was a nightmare. There was a lot that went into this. Did not, oh shoot, I just dropped the part. But anyway, so you can see that it's not super clean, but it's cleaner than what it was. And unfortunately, even though I'm gonna put this gun back together, I'm still gonna need a rebuild kit
can see the knob there, cleaned up pretty nice. The main concern that I had was the needle. I think the needle is going to need to be replaced. Check that out. Needle cleaned up, but you could see that the needle is starting to ball at the end. So I'm thinking it's going to need a new needle. So we're probably going to have to replace that. And then, of course, you got some more parts. Also going to have to replace the plastic pieces. You can see how scratched up it got during the cleaning process. So we're going to need some more parts for this. So I'm going to be ordering a rebuild kit. Also, I had to damage this seal in order to get the needle out. So it's going to need a new seal. But you can see that most of the parts came out pretty clean for the most part. Of course, this gun is going to go back into service. Check that out. I did also find that inside of this little fitting here, there's a lot of rust in here. So I cleaned that out. And goes to show you that, you know, good filtration system goes a long way, you know, because you don't want a bunch of rust going into the gun. So I went ahead and cleaned out the gun inside here, inside the inlet as well. Just try to clean up as best as I can. But yeah, most of the parts came out decently clean. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's not terrible either. This air cap actually cleaned up real nice. Take a look there. Came out pretty decent. I could probably do a little bit more in the inside. You can see got some looks like some sort of primer, maybe some sealer, I'm not sure. But anyways, so that's how clean the spray gun came out. As far as this stuff goes, is it worth the money? I'd probably got to say no. It's equivalent to like a really strong acetone is what I would probably compare it to. It's nothing like paint stripper. Usually paint stripper cleans these things right up, but it's not quite as potent as paint stripper. Now I would say probably this would probably be good for you know, fresh paint that's dried up on the gun. I would say it probably worked better for that. But this gun was you know, a complete nightmare. It had really old paint still left on it, and yeah, so unfortunately this thing was it didn't get a fair shot. Let's just put it that way. But for the most part, it works decent. Like I said, it's kind of like a really strong acetone. It is very skin irritant, and it would actually eat through the gloves. So you can see a bunch of gloves that I used throughout this project. I also switched up from the nylon brush to the stainless steel brush. You can see there. I had to use something a bit more aggressive because the nylon brush wasn't doing anything. It was basically massaging the gun and yeah, not getting any of the paint off. So I'm gonna go ahead and order a rebuild kit for the FLG5. But as far as this video goes, I think we put this stuff to the test. And if I had to score it, I would say, I'm gonna say a 3 out of 5. Being that it does clean, but it doesn't quite get all that old paint out. So I'm just gonna rate it a 3 out of 5. Now this stuff, by a sheer miracle, I was able to get this stuff shipped out to me. This is actually not legal in California. I think they kind of messed up and sent it out to me anyway, which, you know, I'm not complaining or anything, but it is not VOC compliant for California. So those of you that paint in California, it might be a little bit difficult to get this stuff. So anyway, guys, that is my video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. As always, stay spraying. Give it a like if you guys liked the video, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.